Welcome to Holdback Rack Podcast. My name is Jessica Hare. I operate Hare Hollow Farm, and we breed boas, balls, and select colubrids.
Hi, I'm Jana King. I operate ASM Royal Tails, and I breed high-end ball pythons.
We want to share our journey navigating herpetoculture and are dedicated to promoting biohazard safety for all species. And we would love you to answer the question, what's in your Holdback Rack? Welcome to episode 10. Double digits.
Double digits. Jinx.
I don't know if it's going to be double the fun, but it'll be something.
It'll be there. That's for sure.
Did you actually get to watch Snakes and Stogies episode 102?
I sure didn't. It's still on my to-do list.
So the Snakes and Stogies was a response to the Morph market policy change about testing and then reversal. It came out on Monday. You know, a couple hundred people have watched it based on the YouTube video. I don't know how many people watched it, listen to it on download, but more people need to listen to it. It's basically,
I need to listen to it.
It's basically a defense of the Morph market policy.
They were for it.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Everyone, including Dr. Travis Wyman, who's maybe been like, in a nice way, will cloud the issue of testing and be like, it's kind of complicated and people don't understand, blah, blah, blah. So they were trying to say why it was complicated, but then in the end, the TLDR was still test on intake, talk to your seller about it, get an agreement, return it anyway if it's positive. If there's something that's already positive in your collection, that's where there's maybe like choice. Like, do you keep a positive colony? Do you keep a crypto positive colony? Do you keep an arena positive colony? There's choice there, like personal choice. But
personal choice.
But in the time of a transaction, everyone was universally across the board being like, you should not accept a positive and you should test at that moment.
Absolutely.
Mic drop. That's all we needed. That's all we need. That's step one. That's how we get somewhere.
That's exciting. Okay. And now I'm excited and I will listen to it as soon as I get.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very good. They do talk about like why it could be complicated and why people's feelings were hurt. But in the end, it was all the same decision. The other one thing I want to briefly mention was that Dr. Zach Loafman did mention a potential treatment for crypto positive animals. And I can't remember the name. It was a antibiotic type. And that was interesting news, new news. I knew that was coming out in his paper. I hadn't heard him say what it was out loud before, so if anybody's interested in that, check it out. It's not a cure, and it's not official, but it's a situation where...
It's a treatment, but not a cure-all.
Well, we don't know. So animals that were treated with it, that were positive before, were not testing positive after. And we all know how testing works, where it could be such a minor infection now that we can't detect it.
It could still be spreadable.
Right. So we have to treat those animals like they're still infected until we have, done some sort of procedure, like we've culled them and tested all of their tissues out of like a real randomized controlled trial somewhere else. But for right now, if you have like high value animals you want to keep in a crypto-positive colony and you want to just knock their like infectiousness back, you could treat them potentially with this drug.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Yes, it is, because none of the other ones you can treat at all. You just treat symptoms.
Well, you could treat it with death, but that's not a win for anyone.
Well, I just mean like, if you have Nido, you can give somebody antibiotics, which will cut back the like bacteria that's assisting, and so the animal will seem to get better, but it's never better. It's always has Nido.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Mutation Creation news is that they're taking a break.
Billy's burnt out a bit, and I think that it's really healthy to take a break and admit when you're overdoing it and listen to yourself and do that. I felt a little bad that he felt so bad about it. But
yeah,
other
he's
than that,
been like cruising for a break for a while now. Like I feel like he's been flagging on Monday.
He's been like burning at every end. He's like the candlestick that's burning at both ends and then like on fire in the middle.
Yeah. So
yeah, the poor guy definitely needs a break. And I did he hire a social media person that didn't work out?
No, they're there. That's who's doing his Instagram right now. You notice
Are they?
His Instagram posts are really boring.
I don't follow him. I mean, like, I follow him on Instagram, but I don't.
You weren't aware of a difference?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's okay. They just are different. And the Georgia? I want to say it's Georgia, the name of his new...
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
That they were going to be doing a lot more and taking more off his plate and setting up interviews and other things, and it doesn't seem like that's what's happened.
I think he's having trouble, like, ramping them up or something, like bringing them on.
Oh, okay.
Like, if he doesn't have systems to add someone into, if he's just been, like, winging it, you can't, like, explain someone your job if you've been, like...
winging it.
Yeah. And I will say, I don't know if it matters, but I was in Billy's Patreon formerly. I am not now. But when I was, he spends an awful lot of time on patron calls. I mean, good for him. He's, like, helping his Patreon members. But, like, some of the like... Yeah, some of the like, Sunday Q&As would be, like, 4 hours long. And I'm like, tomorrow you're going to waste another 4 hours on a podcast. And then the next day you're going to call 16 people. Like, there's no time in the day for you to manage your business because you're just talking to people, which maybe is his business. But, like, there's a certain amount of, like, you need to partition your workload a little better, in my opinion. I don't know.
No, that's what I said. Like, his candle's burning at both ends and in the middle. Like, I think that what he's doing to help other people is amazing and incredible and admirable. And I think that he has to have a little... You said, a little more self-care and, I'm going to do this many a month and that's it. Cause it's a lot. I don't know how he hasn't burnt out already. Like, anyway, right. I guess I just felt bad because he was sincerely felt bad that he was saying, I can't. He's like, my body is physically telling me I cannot keep up this amount of work. And I don't know. You shouldn't have to apologize for that. You should just let people know, hey, I'm taking a little bit of a step back. And even him, he's like, my step back is still like 80-hour work weeks. You know what I mean? Like, his little step back is.
And his like apology for not doing a podcast was 2 hours long.
Yeah, it was a podcast. So I just felt like he needed a hug, and hopefully there are people in his life that are telling him, Billy, it's okay. You don't have to be everything to everyone, and it's okay to step back a bit. I think he needs to step back a little more than he is stepping back just for a bit.
He doesn't even need to do those stupid Monday night podcasts. If he wants to like work on his Patreon and make that be his core community, then he needs to do his lives to his core community. Like, it's fine. Nobody cares.
Yeah, no, I think the 175 of us that show up for his podcasts or listen later, that he could be putting his energy into something else and doesn't need to stay up until the middle of the night doing a podcast.
Right, that's 4 hours long every time. It could really be less or any of it.
I just felt bad for him. That's all. I just felt like genuinely like it's okay. You can set priorities and healthy boundaries and healthy work, personal life. Anyway, I just felt bad. He seemed like he needed a hug, and I wasn't upset, and I don't think anyone else was either. I think everyone sees how hard he works, so we can move on from that. The Jkr Mj interview.
Yeah, you did watch that, correct?
I watched that and the little video that he had as well.
Did you have any points that you thought were exciting to you?
I had questions that I probably won't get the answers to. He had said that he has about 500 breeder females and that they're only doing about 225 clutches a year. And so I just wish that I could ask some questions to get clarification on that. Like, are you breeding everybody every year? Are you breeding every other year? Are you putting, one male to 20 girls and only hoping for 10? Like, because that's not great numbers for someone who is highly successful. And so I felt like there needed some clarification there. If you have 500 breeder females, those weren't his grow-ups or like his juvenile females. Shouldn't he have higher numbers than that?
I'm just assuming he has a high and we talked about this previously, a high turnover rate of females. So his 500 includes 2 and 3-year-old females that are being paired for the first time, which are not as likely to go every year.
Does he have a high turnover? A high turnover of females? Like, where does he even sell his
He
females?
sells them to
I'm not
his
on his
buddies.
Patreon.
The Patreon doesn't know either, but trust me, being part of Jkr's Patreon does not entitle you to any sort of special benefits of any kind, really. I think he just sells it to people he knows that have already bought $50,000 worth of stuff to him, and then he upgrades from there. He very rarely lists adult females on anywhere, ever.
I was going to say, never heard of it.
Right. Because he's selling them to his, like, best customers, being like, do you want a clown pied adult female for $15,000 or whatever? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Like, they already have relationships. But he does upgrade internally, because he doesn't, otherwise he would have 20,000 snakes. He adds 150 a year.
That's true.
And he's had the same number of snakes for like 5 years. So he must be selling females.
He must be. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and 2 and 3-year-olds, you can't count as what you're going to produce.
Year. Yeah.
150 would make sense. So that would be like 350 breeding females. But then you said like 2 and 3-year-olds. So
some female ball pythons don't breed till they're 5. They just don't give a shit how big they are or what they're doing. They'll just wait you out. They don't care.
Yeah.
And some of them will breed right away. They don't care. It just depends on her internal makeup and what the triggers are for her. So yeah, that's why I think he
that makes
has
more
a
sense.
lower rate. If someone has an old collection, like all the females are 10 years old, those females are much more likely to go every year. So their rate might be 80%. In my opinion.
Just meant that, like, he's utilizing an ultrasound. He's been in it for 20 years. Like, in my brain, I thought, like, oh, he's going to get all his girls to go at 2, you know? Like, he's got some secret magic trick.
No, there have been some, like, clutch cutting videos where he's been like, this female didn't go till 5, but then bred every year for 3 years, skipped a year, and then has bred 2 years after that. Like, he showed every year she's bred.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, he almost never does clutch cutting videos on the Patreon anymore.
But he records every clutch.
Right, but he doesn't show us anymore.
Records.
I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
I think it's too much work for him or something.
It can't be too much work. I think he does it because he wants to come out with his newest, best.
Well, he was
surprise.
just doing like, so he would just do like, oh, whatever clutch, like a not even that great or just kind of okay. And not that many people would watch it probably. So he's like, I'm not going to do these anymore because I don't get a lot of views on the Patreon. There's only like 200 or 300 of us on there anyway. So even if you only got 15 views, that was at least part of the content. There's almost nothing specific just to the Patreon anymore. Every time
unless you're like way high up and you're traveling down to this facility.
Yes, right. So
you're basically paying an advertising fee to be on its videos.
Yes, which is fine. Okay. I'm just saying there's no...
I mean, like, Billy has content every single day on his.
Yes, Billy tries harder to put more content. And he has that, like, backlog of, like, breeder podcast shorts.
Uh-huh. And he also has discounts and...
Right. Built-in discounts.
Yeah.
There are, like, merch benefits to Jkr. Like, if you're there for 3 months, you get sent a sticker or something stupid. And Billy does that, too.
Yep, he does that, too. Yep.
It's fine. I don't know why we're talking about Patreons right now, but...
I don't know. That's where that went.
Like, the Jkr Patreon, to me, if you're not wasting the $500 a month level, if you're not, like, gonna suck his dick that hard, then maybe it isn't worth it at, like, the $50 or $25 levels. I don't know. Write in if you're sucking his dick really hard at the $500 or $100 level, and you think it is worth it. Because that's not the level I am. His Discord is pretty dead. Be honest.
Yeah, when I asked around, it didn't seem like a good enough benefit for me to join his Patreon. Even though I really like him, I feel like I can get my Jkr free.
Right.
Back to the interview. I was a little disheartened by him saying that a $75,000 investment just wouldn't cut it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, and that's so obviously somebody
I mean,
can make
if
money
you wanted,
off of 75K worth of snakes. They could make a
yes,
profit. But I think what he's trying to say is you cannot be like a competitive leader with only a 75K investment, and that is true.
that's absolutely true. But he did. I don't think he said it like that.
No,
He was
he
just
did
like,
not. He was
no
just like, is
bother,
75K enough? No.
no bother to even show up if
Right.
all you've got is 75K, and even if you do smart investments of $2,000 to $5,000 animals.
Right. There was a super chat.
You're so far behind. Don't
was
bother to show up today.
there was a super chat. Somebody paid $5 to be like, Justin, can I buy like 3 or 4, like a male and 3 or 4 females that are all between 2 and 5K, and would that be enough? He's like, no. And then he moved on very quickly.
He's like, no, you don't have enough animals. That's stupid. You're wasting your time. You're wasting my time. Move on with your life.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because Billy has said the exact opposite.
I know. The problem is Billy's saying that, like, you can make money off of that. And I think what Justin is trying to say, like, can you be a player or whatever in the stupid ball python game?
Or can you financially support yourself on that?
Yes. And obviously I think Billy would also say no to the 75K and the 3 to 4 animals that are...
So you really don't think that if you invested $75,000 that you would be able to financially support yourself?
No.
Interesting.
I've probably invested that much already. Do you see, like, money coming out of my pockets?
I see no money coming out of your pocket.
Yeah, opposite of money. The problem is like money is time. So yes, you can have an initial investment of 75K and make a living wage off of that eventually, but it'll take you like the continuous reinvestments of all profits for 5 years.
And then,
right. So then you'll have to get up to 250K anyway.
So you think that's the magic number?
No, maybe. That's a number I'm guessing is somehow like the secret sauce. Because that would give you 10 to 15 animals in 5 to 6 projects that are all powerful. And like, so you'll have both depth and diversity. Which we'll get into that later.
I thought it was interesting that when the person asked that question of having 3 to 4 animals or females in that 3 to 5 range, that he said it's a numbers game because it's all about odds. And so his thought process on that is if you don't have the numbers, then you can't play the game. So I wanted to keep a smaller collection, and I know you're wanting to eventually have like a giant warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wanting to keep a smaller number, and he was basically like laughing about that. Like, if it's an odds game, you can't play the odds if you don't have the odds to play.
I mean, this is true, especially, I mean, we can get into this. He did announce, sort of, that he's building a second building specifically to house double, triple, quad, quintuple.
Specifically to house all normal-looking snakes.
Yeah, just because to hit any of it will take dozens of iterations of pairings, and so he needs to keep all of it and keep trying to like stay ahead of the curve, because you can't, the luck isn't always on your side. And obviously we've seen that because he has a Pompeii male, he has clown females, and he has billions of them. He can't seem to hit more than 4 Pompeiis in 4 years of various combos. 4 total,
yeah. And
he wants to make Pompeiis. Like, please look. Yeah. He's like, please make Pompeiis. Come on. And maybe he's right. Like, if the future really is quintuple hets, then you really do need
a warehouse full of normal-looking animals.
Yes. Yes. And then you want to put some codoms in there. Another warehouse. A second warehouse. Right beside this one.
So, I mean, like, I've been thinking about, I want to say smaller, but and it really got me thinking, and I know that you said all of this, and I'm sorry that Jkr saying it makes it more powerful, but
you believe his penis is what you're telling me. That's how you're signaling to me right now.
Okay, so I tend to believe you,
But if I had a
my
penis, you would be
mentor,
more interested in believing me? Is that what you're saying?
no, I
All right,
think the fact that
I will
you
buy a
don't
summer sausage
have,
and stuff it in my pants, and then the next time we meet each other, you will have to
well,
respect me
they've got
slightly
those
more.
really nice strap-ons, so maybe you should go
Oh,
that
okay.
route.
All right, I will. But I'll get one of those like fantasy ones that's like tipped with like dragon penis style. It'll be fun.
Sure,
It'll be
that
great.
sounds really fun. This is making my mouth open. I don't know. Anyway,
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
so I tend to listen to you. I think if you were a dude, that our relationship would be really awkward, actually. Um,
It's already pretty awkward, but
it's pretty awkward, but like you're married, I'm married, we're both girls. I think it's okay. If you were a
okay.
dude, there'd be like I have because of how I was raised and like culturally how I was raised to act. Like you don't talk to other people's husbands, and so it's very difficult to be in like a dude bro industry, but to also have to be fighting how you were trained from childhood that you don't speak to other people's husbands, like that's not appropriate. And yet all I do is talk to dude bros that are
Right.
married, and it's
Right.
not like that. And I realized that was like a wrong thing that I was taught, but it's like my inner training still screams a little, and so I'm glad that you're a woman and that I don't have to deal with that. Anyway, you're very intelligent. That's why you're my mentor. I want to listen to you, and I feel like I do, for the most part, listen to most of the advice that you give me. This has been one I struggled with, where you were like, it's a fantasy that you want to keep your numbers low, but good luck with that.
Yeah, I mean,
and,
I'm trying to be
hearing,
supportive of your delusions a little bit,
yes,
but
you're very supportive of my delusions while also calling me out as delusional, which is perfect.
if
And
you
so
had like a
having,
tighter focus, like you don't want Kiki Enhancer and Clownpod and this and that, and you were just like, I am just doing Kiki only, Kiki combos only. So all I'm spending my money on, then maybe your 4 ARS racks would be enough. But,
right. So that's what I'm saying is that listening to Jkr and having him confirm basically everything that you've said to me makes me feel like I have too many projects. And that's depressing because I feel like I cut my projects in half. I spent a lot of time thinking and a lot of tearing down over the last 6 months at your intelligent instruction of, dude, you have what? You need to focus. I mean, you were very kind and supportive about it, but you were right. Like, I had tons of different projects in 20 different directions, and I feel like I narrowed it down to 2. And if I want to stay small, even if I remove one whole project, I'm still going to be bigger than the delusion that I had in my brain.
Right. And I don't think you have to necessarily choose not to do what you want to do, but you might need to just assume you're going to get an off-site facility. Just officially assume it by 2 years from now. Because that's when your holdbacks from next year will need, 5540 size containers to hold them in.
Yeah, or I'm just going to have to stack ARSs.
Yeah, or something.
Or something. Hearing you say it and then hearing Jkr back that up, I heard my delusions and I heard how it sounded and I went, oh, I'm being really naive again. Against good advice.
Like, people have told you and you believe them that yes, you can make a living wage off of a couple of ARS racks if they're high enough end.
Correct.
That is true. But usually that is a very tight operation with a very fast turnover of females and males and no pets, no nothing.
And boring.
Yeah, and sometimes it's
like DG to DG. It's not triple het projects, which is what interests me.
Right. And because of the cost of living here and because your husband kind of wants to be a housewife, you need to assume that you're going to have a bigger collection, I think, than you want. I don't know what that size will be. You'll have to decide. But if you're even like entertaining triple recessives, 250 adult females, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, housewife, he can retire at 20 years. He just can't collect until he's older. He will be putting in his 20 years, but he's almost there. So we'll see. Housewife. That's adorable. I might start calling him that.
We call him a house kitten. Because when he retires, he gets it right away because he's military.
Correct. Yes.
So then I was just like, okay, well, you'll be a kept man. You'll need to be making dinner, wearing high heels around the house, doing what you need to do. Sexual favors.
Little maid's apron.
I don't know. whatever it takes. And I'll run the operation. He's like, okay, that sounds great. Probably just be on the computer playing games all day, getting fat and having fun, but whatever. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. That's kind of the plan for us, is that he's going to do his 20 years and then I'm going to do mine.
Right. That's
But
fine.
hopefully that means he helps with the snakes.
He should.
I mean, and I'd also like to get my nursing degree, even if I just do snakes my whole life, because that's something I've always wanted to do. Life goals.
All right. Of the 4 genes that Justin and MJ told people to look out for, which one is the one you want the most? I will count down from 3 and say it at the same time and see if we pick the same one. 3, 2, 1. Wookiee.
Nice. I knew you were going to say Wookiee.
Yeah, I know. I've already self-professed the
love of Wookiee.
obsession.
Wookiee is amazing. That's my second choice. But I've had my eye on Super Lace for a while. I really like the pixelation and what it does. I was not impressed by the single lace clown. I'd like to see the Super Lace clown. Yeah,
I mean, it looks better than a fire clown, and as an adult, but it's the same idea.
Right, but I really like the way that no recessives Super Lace looks. The pixelation on those sides.
I do too. It's good. It's like new. It's like Yellow Belly, but like higher up.
Yeah.
Or like paint or something that messes up that part of the body of the snake.
Yeah, I didn't go and look at if his professions of go buy it now before it gets expensive, if it affected the market. I did not have that
thing
many.
Is it, like he's already like promoted all those a bunch.
Oh, okay.
So like,
well, I know Wookiee is like crazy hard to get into. So
I don't know. There's a bunch of them. They're just all $1,000. So like,
right. That's what I meant. They were high end.
Lace was really cheap. It just like, and it's still cheap, but like a lace het clown is expensive because nobody wants it by itself.
Right.
They want it in the recessive because it's really hard to ID the single gene.
Well, it's almost poor investment's the wrong way, but like a backwards investment if you are buying females that do not have a recessive in them.
All right, save that thought. We'll talk about that in like 5 minutes.
5 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, do you have a collection update? I am going to skip all collection updates because I'm just busy just catching up. That's basically what I'm doing.
So, catching up, but also I was pretty overdue to ultrasound everybody. I ultrasounded ones a couple weeks ago that had already been at like 15 and were acting crazy. So I had ultrasounded like 5 or 6 2 weeks ago. But I needed to kind of get a snapshot of where everybody was. And I had some girls that were slamming rats that now are just kind of like, oh, maybe if you shake it just right, girl, then maybe I'll eat that rat. I have a lot of girls I have like 10 that are 20 and above, and then I have 8 or 9 that are 15 and above. I'm really excited by that. Like, I didn't realize that they were so far along because I feel like the last time I ultrasounded like 6 or 8 weeks ago, most everybody that has anything above 10 was at like 10 or 12.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I ultrasounded a teeny tiny bit, but I don't care again, and I just gave up. I just don't have the energy to give a shit about ultrasound all the time. They're gonna go because if they're 20 now, they still ain't gonna ovulate until fucking April or some shit. Okay.
I was feeling really defeated and exhausted and behind, and I know weighing feels stupid to you. I didn't weigh this time, but like I need little benchmarks to keep my enthusiasm up, and this really helped.
Okay. That's all that counts then.
Yeah, so I was excited by that. I have one who laid a clutch in August. What is that, like 4 months ago? And I just thought for funsies that I would check her, and she's already at like 15.
Okay, sometimes it does happen. Doesn't
So
she
is that
might
like her
still
second
reabsorb?
string?
Yeah.
She hasn't been paired this season because, quite honestly, she's been like a little bit of a picky bee. But she was a picky bee before she started building last season too, and put on like 600 grams after
Right.
I paired her. So I'm trying to decide what to do with her. I mean, she's like 1,600 grams, so she's not like nothing, but she laid at like 1,900 grams. I don't know. What do you like to see them? Do you like to see them back up to the preseason weight, or do you like to see them back up to the weight they were when they laid?
I don't weigh anything, remember?
Oh, right.
I
You just look
like
at
them
body
to look
condition.
like a snake. And I actually don't keep my females extremely heavy. Like I've been sold females where I was like, gross. Because there is such a thing as an obese ball python. It just takes a lot of effort to get them there. So I prefer a leaner female, and then to feed her to trigger sort of wanting to do follicular development with feeding, but not like have her so fat coming into the season that she doesn't want to even eat anyway. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've got a couple that they don't look like they just laid, but they're very slim. And I can't remember, because I've only have one season
See, I would
experience. I
pair
can't
those females,
remember.
even if you're like, they're very slim. Like if they look like a normal being, they will eat enough to make eggs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they're all
Or they won't eat enough to make
developing.
eggs, but like,
They're all like 12 to 15, and they're proven breeders. So I think I will get them their first flocks.
right. The females that I received from other people were too fat to me. They all bred the first year. I fed them the way I want to feed them. Most of them still went. Maybe one or two, and we don't know if that's because the male I used or whatever didn't go. But most of them went anyway, even with a less insane body condition coming in and a more moderate feeding schedule.
Okay.
I don't know. There's no reason not to pair them because you think they didn't meet some magical number of fatness or whatever. Because they probably also got bigger
Right.
even while they were whatever.
Longer. That's
Yeah.
fair.
What you need is like actual muscle mass, not the fantasy muscle mass that ball python people refer to when they're like touching their fat snake. They're like, look at how thick and weird it is. And I'm like, okay, it's a fat snake though still. Come on now. Like a really big female has like all of the metabolic capacity to eat lots of food and grow follicles, even if she is not insanely fat herself. She can eat it and make eggs out of it. That's my opinion. I don't know. Your
That makes
mileage may
sense.
vary. And you could like delay them a month or two to like give them a couple more rounds of just eating before pairing. But I would pair them anyway. I pair every female every year. Doesn't matter. They're fine unless they're sick or something, which nothing is sick here. That's the only reason I
Nothing's
wouldn't.
sick here.
That's the only reason I wouldn't pair a female ball python. Sick. But otherwise, they will
I have a
choose to go or
few
not go.
that are 2020s that I have not given an initial lock to because they're less than 10 and they're around the like 1250 mark, and they're not acting like they want to be bred yet.
Well,
So they're
that's
like
up
on my
to you.
watch. And that they're on my watch list. So like they get ultrasounded every 3 months. And there's some that were acting and they got an initial lock that are in that category, but there's still a few that probably half of them have got their first lock, and the other half I'm just waiting to see some kind of bull wrapping or increased feeding or more than, 5 millimeter follicles before I throw a male in there.
I don't know. If you have the male locks, spare locks, I would just do it personally. Almost.
Is I don't. I have like each of my males has like 8 or 9 girls, and so if two of those girls are 2020 virgins that don't need locks right now, I'm giving the locks to the proven girls that are at 20.
Okay. Yeah. I've
but I have
Maybe I'm
lots of
not.
season left.
Maybe I'm not paying attention to my 2020s that much. I just was like, are you big? Are you female? You get a lock.
Congratulations.
Some of them were like peeing and tail wagging and carrying on and being little hussies. I was like, oh, okay, good. I ultrasounded a bunch of them, all small follicles, but some of them were obviously receptive anyway, even though it's like sub 10. Nobody had like obvious developmental signs of readiness until I presented a male. Now they're all on the cool side, every last one of them. How many of them are going to choose to go? It's up to them. I don't think all of them will go. I think most of them will probably reabsorb because they're just going to decide to or something. You know, they're young. Maybe they're not ready, or maybe they'll just have 4 eggs.
It's just hard for me to switch my thought process because I had about a bunch of 2019s that I didn't even try to breed last year, just because I'd been told like they have to be 3, blah 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 blah. So I got a bunch of 2019s that they're just getting their first locks, or I started at the end of last season breeding them in like June or July or whatever. They've still done nothing, you know, and so it's like,
right. I paired
I
2019s that allowed themselves to be locked last year, and they did not do anything, nor did they even develop follicles in any particular way and reabsorb. So it's possible to them to be sluts and absorb and like get some semen dumpsters, but not because they're like
semen black holes because they're not giving anything back.
Well, like they're, you know, a female sees a male in Africa and she's like, I'm not ready to breed yet, but I might be ready next year. So then she can actually hold the sperm for a whole year. We already know that. So it's quite natural for that to be something that they would choose to do. But if you want to give a young female a chance, she's not going to go without
Correct.
like some sort of impetus. So you don't have to pair them. You can pair them. People will argue both ways. The most striking thing I've ever seen in my entire life, ever, was a picture of a juvenile Everglades rat snake. And so Everglades rat snakes go through an ontogenetic color change. They're sort of patterned with saddles, and they turn like an orangey red. It's very beautiful and nice. But there was a picture of a juvenile still with the blotchy pattern of a subadult, way subadult baby, basically. And she had obvious eggs like in her body. Somebody took a picture of her wild caught, like in Florida. Dink. So obviously, like the age of maturation in a reptile
is different.
It's different, and it's plastic. It has to do with like food and environment and genes and the methylation of those genes, like which ones are turned on and off. So we've been selecting ball pythons to be very breed early, not necessarily breed late with lots of big clutches, but breed early. Like that, there's a huge selection pressure on our captive population. So the probability that there are young females that can breed successfully and have no negative effects, to me, seems extremely high. The selection pressure is that strong. I don't know how many generations it takes to have like all female ball pythons want to breed at 24 months or whatever. I don't know, but the potential is there that many 24-month-old ball pythons will be laying eggs. And if people don't like that, it's okay, because there are the plasticness of this trait in the wild is different for different species, and some species handle being pushed better than others. Like obviously a female boa can breed at 2 years also. They just probably won't live that long after that. They're not as tolerant of this sort of pushing. Yeah, I had a female corn snake who might have been 100 grams, a whole soaking wet 100 grams. Slug out, have 3 slugs in October, which is a weird time. She just was like looking around, looked at herself, looked around, chose to ovulate by herself. And she was a little pea pod, so she could only have 3 little eggs. And I'm like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? So like,
were you about to put him down at that point?
Yeah, I thought it was a boy, by the way. And I was like, that's why I posted that thing. I think it was a story on Instagram. I was like, my boy has just laid 3 slugs. And so like he had been fed, well, she now, like it was a boy. So like a thin
way
bodied
different
animal.
than,
Yeah,
yes.
she might have been 100 grams heavier by that age, but she knew how old she was. She didn't care how much she weighed. She felt like making egg. She didn't care the time of the year either. So the rules that we have are good as a rule, but they don't actually always work in an animal that has such a plastic trait as age of reproduction or size of reproduction. That's all.
That's fair.
Not telling you what to do. Just telling you you can do whatever you want, probably, and it's fine. All right. Main topic. I made up 15 rules, which aren't even rules, more like guidelines, of how to start and build a ball python collection. I didn't make up any of these rules. I heard them from other people who are smarter than me. So if you don't like them, go attack someone else. Because this is just sort of how it is now, I think. And these rules are about ball pythons, but 75% of this applies to any snake, lizard, whatever species that has morphs in it. The rules are the same. They're just sort of like apply it to your species of choice.
I have a question of clarification.
Okay.
Is this how to build a ball python collection if you want to have this as your sole income? Or is this in general?
I think this is how to build a collection where you're doing it for profit, not for fun. If you have any sort of profit motive, it should be like this. If you're literally just collecting because you think ball pythons are beautiful, then this doesn't have anything to do with you. And you can just buy whatever male, female color you want. If you have profit as a motive, it should be shaped like this, probably, in my opinion.
Well, I feel like I'm going to learn something today.
Sometimes on YouTube, you'll see videos that's like how to start a ball python collection, and the other one is like how to build a recessive project. I think that's a false dichotomy because I think they're the same thing now. There's almost no incomplete dominant combo project that rivals a recessive project for power or prestige or financial gain. So if you're building a collection, you're building a recessive collection. The only ones I can think of that even sort of rival, or like if you were to be freeway highway and like that's your thing, which is still like an ALS combo that's sort of hard to hit like a recessive.
But I agree with everything you just said. I have recessives and I also have a highway project that I feel like is just as valuable as some of my recessives, what with the understanding that I'm going to also add it into my recessive projects.
Yes.
And there are a few other high dollar genes like Stranger that are still really high value.
Right, but I think, and we'll get into that, like why that could be okay, but I wouldn't hang my entire project on the Stranger incomplete dominant with no recessive attached to it. I guess is my point.
I'm wary of the whole project in general, but it is one that's a high dollar one.
Yes. I mean, it used to be you could run ink doms into the ground and then buy the next one and then buy the next one. So if you were going to do an ink dom only collection or something, which would be insane, you would have to be like, I'm shooting for very specific, very attractive high-end combos of ink doms, not more banana, yellow belly pastels. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's just as hard to hit a 4-gene combo as it is to hit a clown 2-gene combo. You know what I mean? So, but the clown 2-gene is more expensive, so you might as well just use the recessives.
Well, right. I just sold a 5-gene pet G-stripe male for only $850. His sister, who was only 4 genes, sold for $2,000. So, I mean...
No, she was a het.
No, she was a het.
Yeah.
So, it's like, it didn't matter how many more genes I stacked into that male. His value was only going to be so high.
Right. Exactly. In general, we already talked about this. If you wanted to become a successful ball python breeder, you need a $250,000 or more dumped in a relatively short period of time. But that's still not enough because the secret sauce is like marketing, prestige, the ability to suck the right dicks at the right time, and then the ability to sell.
for the right amount of length of time.
Right. People have come into the ball python market a lot with a lot of money and then left right away again. Because it seems like a good idea, but all the other parts of the secret sauce also need to be there too. So that's why I think, even though Justin's comments were a little bit depressing, that's not like the end of the story, that money is everything. You just need time then. You either need money or time. So if you're willing to work hard for 5 years and reinvest all of your profits, then you would have put in whatever the equivalent dollars were. But if you don't have all the secret sauce and $250,000, here's how you start your ball python collection.
I really hope that my husband is not listening, because I have sold a way different cracker.
Yeah, I think the internet sells the cracker of, it's easy to make $2,000 a month when the animals all cost $2,000 and you only need a couple animals to make $2,000 animals, right?
Right. But
then you're like, oh, I live in a high cost of living state. How much did it cost to get there? And by the time I breed those animals, how much will they have depreciated? And how long is it going to take to sell those animals?
Yeah.
So, now that we've made it you not want to invest in ball pythons.
Oh, damn. We are too late for that.
Fuck.
I'm in deep. Not that deep, but deep.
Here are the rules of how to buy in. Because you obviously can't just buy exactly what you want. But there are like better options and slightly worse options. So that's how we go from there. All right. What's rule number 1, Jana?
Rule number 1 is disease status is the most important consideration when in selecting animals. So it doesn't matter if you're spending $20,000 on a snake or $20 on a snake. Disease does not care. At all. Right. At all. You have to test that animal when it comes into your collection. It doesn't matter if it came from your best friend who's never had any snakes that were sick. It doesn't matter where it's come from. It doesn't matter. So when I buy from Jessica, when she buys from me, we test that animal. It doesn't matter.
Right.
She's my mentor. We're friends. So it doesn't matter.
Right. The moving of the snake might have actually jostled something loose, just from different collection to collection.
Yes. So value, where it came from, none of these factors matter. Test your snake on incoming.
Right. It's not an investment if it has Nido, by the way. That's my hashtag that nobody follows.
Nobody. What is rule number 2?
Universally, this is across all species, buying either stronger genetics, and stronger just can mean different things, or a more visually appealing to you, personal opinion, version of that animal is better than a weaker or uglier animal. Because usually it doesn't cost that much more money to add another incomplete dominant, add whatever. So visuals are better than hets. But sometimes only hets exist or are affordable. More incomplete dominants are usually better than no incomplete dominants, unless it's a non-desirable incomplete dominant. Spider.
So I love Spider, but if you're building a ball python collection, or you're using this to fix or build up your current ball python collection, when you go to Morph Market, just filter out Spider. I promise you, it is not the gene you want to be investing in. And my favorite snake of all time is a spider. So I'm not anti-spider, but from a business standpoint and a breeding standpoint, just don't do it. Just filter it out, and then you're not tempted.
Right. It is. We can talk about spider all day, but in general, if you sort any morph by low to high, the spiders are all at the bottom for that combo. Because
it literally decreases the price of your snake.
Yeah. So if you want to be in this to make money, then
any het or visual combo, if you have a hit spider, it doesn't matter how many other genes you hit, you have to take like $200 off that animal because it has spider.
And that sounds like a terrible,
twice as long.
Terrible business decision to me.
Yes. So
Yes.
I
if you love
lover of
spiders because you're a
spider.
hobbyist and you just want to collect spiders, go for it. That's
Right.
fine.
But if you're trying to build a business, just filter that out. Do
Yeah.
yourself a favor.
Also, stronger genetically isn't always like super obvious to a new person. So they'll might be like, a female desert ghost is better than buying a double het desert ghost clown. But if you were
We
going
have
to use,
arguments about this.
yeah, if you were
a
going
lot.
to use the female desert ghost to make a bunch of double het DG clowns anyway, you might as well go buy the stacked double het DG clowns now, because that gives you a whole generation closer to your goal. If you were going to buy the female DG to make DG combos, then go ahead and buy the DG. But people are like throwing money out of their like stripper pockets, whoosh, chucking it at people with visual female desert ghosts, and you ask them what they're doing with them, and they're making double hets with it. Make that double hets the other way around. Go get female clowns and go get male DGs and make your double hets that way. Because there's no reason to waste the money. Like, the genetics are the same, but they're always making double hets with them. That's what I don't get. Like, if you're going to do it to do some other combos within Desert Ghosts, obviously a visual female recessive is always fine. But the price has gone up on Desert Ghost females because of double het production. So people need to not sit around waiting for a plain Desert Ghost female for $1,200. They need to sit around waiting for a double het DG Clown or double het DG Pied or whatever they're going to do with it later. That's a whole 3 years of time you're saving yourself. Unless you don't trust people for their hets or something. That's a different topic altogether.
Totally different topic.
Yeah.
I struggle with this thinking. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I'm still coming to terms with that in my brain.
It's because people have been always like, go get a visual female. It's always the best choice ever. Ever.
Correct. Ever.
But it's
And
not,
so
is what I'm saying.
I struggle with that. And also, like, if I get a DG, I have a DG. But also, if I get, like, a double het clown DG, I don't have a male, even though you're supposed to worry about the males later. This is the part of breeding and planning that I struggle with a little bit.
It's okay.
And I know that about myself.
It's still okay to go get a visual female. But the people who are like driving up the price of DGs, I'm just a little confused about the whole thing, I guess.
That's fair.
At least a visual DJ female in subsequent years could be bred to different recessive males to make your own double hets different over and over again. But
or a visual with a het.
Yeah, a visual with a head is already better.
Right.
That is clearly better, right? Already. Than a double head or just a visual. But the people who like are going out to buy plain Desert Ghost females for $1,200, that is what confuses me. If you want to go buy $300 female clowns while they're cheap and like the peak of the season, fucking sure. That's fine.
Yeah. She's talking about me, everyone.
Or just anybody. Because you could sit on that clown for literally 1 year and resell it for $1,000. Worst case scenario. Worst
case.
But
well, you were telling me get yourself some busy clowns because your clowns are practically blade clowns. So
but I was kind of hoping you would buy like a busy clown G-stripe, right? Or
those are $3,500 and they fly out of there. Like,
you're supposedly want to keep all of your snakes in one tiny shoebox under your bed. And I'm like, then every animal needs to have like the power of 10,000 suns. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. Okay. I hear you.
For the people at home, yes, you can
$300. $300.
I know.
And she was a gorgeous, busy little clown, visual. And I'm like, I'm just going to sweep this in through the door and nobody's going to notice. And I'm not going to be sad in 2 years.
No, you're going to be, yeah, it's fine. But then like, you're I'm
going to have 20 more than I want.
Yeah. And they'll be stronger anyway. So like, you either need to decide to have 500 snakes or already now need to start focusing on only females over 5K that are exactly what you need for your project.
I bought a 5K female.
I know. I'm just saying.
I did it. I did the thing. I also just bought a 5K male.
I think you just assume you're going to have 500 snakes then. If you're going to buy other non-5K things.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm going to have 500 snakes.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have like 10 to 15 snakes that are het nothing that I'm eventually going to need to replace.
This is true, but if you already know you have a top-end number limit, the 15 that you replace next year need to be replaced by like $3,000 or $5,000 females that are already exactly in your project anyway. Not stuff that takes 3 generations to get there.
That's fair.
I know.
But
all of this is really hard and you don't have to execute it perfectly all the time. But I'm just saying, since you already know you want to be a small boutique breeder, you already know all this.
But like I said, I could feed this girl for 2 years and sell her for $3,000.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's no...
So then she becomes a $3,000 female.
Right, but you already know you want Kiki Enhancer clowns. You probably any more ever again should be buying anything less exciting than at least
Het Kiki.
Probably, or like a bunch of codoms in a clown or a bunch of codoms in a G-stripe. So at least the double hets you make are better than just the plain one, which is a rule down here somewhere.
I do have a bunch of females clowns, visual clowns that have codoms, but I didn't have anything that was busy.
Okay.
So I wanted a busy girl.
I know, but I think you just got confused by the price tag, is what I'm saying.
Swindled in.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine to cheat, but I'm just telling you, you're going to... 500
in 3
snakes.
years, I'm going to wish that was a $3,500 investment.
You're going to have 500 snakes.
5,000 snakes. Well, that's okay. I'm just going to have to share a warehouse with you.
All right, let's go. It'll be fine. All right, number 3, Jana.
Number 3 is when you start buying babies, buy your females, not your males. Females, females, females. Number 1 mistake made by everyone, including myself. Oh, he's pretty. Oh, he's pretty. Oh, he's cheap. Oh, he's going to be great. And I have 15 males and 3 breeder females.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like 10 hatchling female babies that don't need 10 males.
Right. I mean, a lot of people do this, and then a lot of people like learn really quickly they weren't supposed to do this. So this isn't like new news, but it's worth repeating. That if you look at your collection right now and you have like a 1-to-1 male-female ratio, you fucked up. You'll have to get rid of some of those animals.
Or if you go into projects doing 1-to-1, that's wrong. So you're like, I'm going to do axanthic pied, so I'm going to get an axanthic pied male. And
well, number 4,
female.
let me just read number 4.
Oh, sorry.
Before you say that. It's the next rule, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
What Jana was saying was, males should be in a 1-to-4 breeding group, minimum. And ideally, a complementary male should have another 4 females. So like if you have a spot-nosed yellow-bellied clown and a Wookiee red-striped clown, they will each have 4 complementary females. And you prefer the Wookiee because he's just slightly more expensive or whatever. So he'll get more shots of those females. But every male has at least 4 females, maybe 3 if he's young or something. And they're in pairs, so
it says maybe 3, but we mean 4.
Or more, right? He could have 13 or whatever. If you have an ultrasound, you're going to be very judicious with his whatever, but you'll have to run complementary recessive backup males in case he decides to get tired in the middle of the year.
Well, like I have 10 going to my high gene Jkr pied. He has 10 freaking girls. But 2 of those girls late in September, so they're not ready yet. He's never even seen them. 1 is gravid, so he's done with her. So, I mean, if you have an ultrasound and you plan it out like she's saying, he has 10 girls for the season, but he's not seeing 10 girls every month at all.
Right, he would die if he did that.
He would die, and he's still eating, and he's seeing about 4 to 5 girls a month.
Right.
And this month, he saw 2 girls. Because I was busy, and he saw the 2 that needed locks, and that was it. He didn't see anybody else.
Right.
But there are some he hasn't even seen yet, and he won't until probably March. So that frees him up to not be burnt out by the time they start needing locks.
Right. So if those of you at home that want to implement this plan, you either need to do it based on the month the female laid previously. So a female that laid 5 months ago needs her first lock. So one's laid in September don't need a lock for 5 more months after that. Don't waste locks on females that aren't ready to even start thinking about developing follicles. And or follow the 1 lock a week rule. So he only has 4 visits a week. That's why he has 4 females. He gets to go in, comes back out, gets to eat, take a break for a couple days, go back in another bin, repeat. You need to do that because a 1 male to 1 female is a waste of everyone's time. He has the capacity to do more work than that. There's no reason to run extra males to cover extra females.
And if you're trying to hit specific combinations, if you only have 1 chance, lots of stuff can go wrong. She can slug out. She can reabsorb. She can lay 1 egg. You need to have more chances because it's a numbers game. Gosh, who am I?
Right, like if your male is really cool, you bought a spot-nosed, yellow-belly, red-striped clown male, and you only have 1 possible female to use him with, if she doesn't go, then all of the effort and money you put into him doesn't give you anything for the year. So you need sort of backups for that reason too, like you said. So 1 to 4. Ideally, sort of clusters of related genes that could like pick up the slack. Because sometimes they'll start to lose weight and go off food, and you have to take them out of the rotation. So you have to have sort of complementary males that could finish stuff. Which usually around here means like a young male that could be aging up could steal like last locks and steal clutches. That's like a better male than the one that was doing all the work anyway. That's what I would recommend.
So my little sugar het clown male is breeding the visual clown female, and she's at 30, and she has 5 million follicles. So I think she's going to drop a big clutch. This is my first time with an ultrasound, so I don't know. And his other female is the one that's possible het clown that I'm trying to prove out, but I didn't want to give my clown male 500 possible het clowns and burn him out. I'm having doubts about whether I should throw in my visual clown with that het clown girl. She's at like 25.
Just to see if he can scoop it at the end?
To see if he can scoop it, because even banana inchy het clown males sell better at the show than a sugar het clown.
Sure.
And if the visual clown female is gonna lay like 10 eggs, does he need to have 2 clutches? I was just using him there because I didn't want to burn out my visual clown male. But none of his girls are anywhere close to being.
Yeah, then I would probably use him. You only need 1 sugar clown male produced, basically.
Or female.
Yeah, to replace the dad in the project. So, yeah, I probably would. But he might not sire it anyway, but you'll know pretty much if the males come out banana.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's what I was thinking of doing. But then I was like, but what if I don't hit it? But it's fine. It's fine. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, all those pos het clowns don't matter anyway to you in terms of sales. So, like, it won't matter if they're pos hets or real het clowns because it's almost the same price.
Correct. I just need to prove her out and then be able to sell the offspring. Right.
Well, then use the clown. You'll have a better chance of proving her out if the clown isn't busy, and he's not. So, seems easy.
He's not. He's had a month off because he had a run-in with a rat, but he's shut out and he's eaten and he's doing good again. So, and none of his other girls are even above 12. So, this girl needs a lock. I think I'll throw him in. 5 is, if you want to buy adults to breed before your high-end babies grow up, that's totally okay. That's what I did. But test them aggressively for disease and try to buy as close to your goal animals as possible. Don't buy bumblebee females because they're cheap and easy to find. If your goal is a orange stream yellow belly clown pied, go buy het pieds, het clowns, ODs, and yellow bellies. Visuals, if you can afford them. It's good to buy low-end adults to play with and get a feel for how to sell and market yourself and to get yourself acquainted with how shitty selling is in this puppy.
Secret sauce.
Secret sauce. Yeah, that's what I did because I knew I wasn't going to be able to wait 2 to 3 years to breed. But I did not necessarily buy into the projects that I wanted. I bought a lot of codoms and cheap things to learn on. Do I wish I would have bought in other things? I don't know. I feel like I did okay. I bought in really cheap. I sold higher than I bought for. I did not disease test, which I regret. So I had a little run-in with Nido.
I guess what I'm saying is
if
if you had known early on that you were going to like Kiki or something, you could have bought a lot more female G-stripes as adults earlier.
Yeah, but see, when I first started, I didn't know what I liked. I thought I was just going to only do pieds.
Okay. I mean, yes, so people's tastes can change. But I know a lot of people who come in...
I did my het pieds, and visual pieds to grow up.
Right.
But my tastes from 18 months ago to now are 900% different. I didn't even like dark jeans.
Well, you were a dummy.
I was a dummy. I didn't like clown. I was 100% sure that I would not participate in clown at all.
That's
on
weird.
Any level at all. I hated clown and I thought it was so overdone and so overworked and it was so like bandwagony. And I mean,
it is overdone and overworked, but it's also the best recessive. So
but I hated it. I thought it was annoying to me. And I loved Pied and I was going to do all things Pied and all things like Aussie. Like I loved Aussie combinations and Orange Dream. I think I have one Orange Dream in my whole collection now. And then also I didn't know that I was going to fall in love with G-Stripe.
Okay. Well, I'm giving people room to have something, but a lot of people come into breeding and they're like, I really want to make Pied, whatever.
So I'm gonna
but then they don't buy any Pieds or Pied combos or whatever it is that they want to do. They don't buy any of that as their like initial sort of cheap breeders. They just buy anything with like ovaries. At least be a little selective on your like first, like your funsy snakes so that you could keep any of those as holdbacks. Like literally any of them.
So I didn't get to keep very many holdbacks.
Does that make you feel sad, sort of? Like your whole first year sort of is like really not helping you out now?
Made me feel sad. Some of the later collections, I do have some that I was able to hold back. And I bought out a collection and I'm holding back a lot of his recessive girls. But right. Yeah,
I knew I liked clown combos. I didn't spend a lot of money on my ball python adults the first season. But I knew I wanted female hets and clown things.
So you had a male clown, right?
Yeah. So I was just like, I'm going to buy a bunch of cheap females. I had wished I'd bought like more diversity in my initial females so I could make different hets. It didn't matter what direction my clown project was going to go in the future because I was going to make the females that would help whatever that was going to be. Like I didn't even know Wookiee existed when I bought that initial clown male to run over all these sort of incomplete dominant females.
So if you're going to buy adult females, wait till like, there's certain times of year it's better to buy a breeder female than other times of the year, but people will upgrade
in the summer normally.
Yeah, in the summer is a great time to buy. People will upgrade their het adult females for a visual that they've grown up to replace her. And so as long as you're testing, then that's a great buy and ask lots of questions about why are you partying with her. I was able to get into some more expensive female girls because I breed ASFs. So they were sold to me as picky eaters. But when I get them, I haven't had any trouble with them eating. And so I was able to get a couple of nice clown females that were almost or older than breeding age because people couldn't get them to wait and couldn't get them consistently eating. And so there are like questions you have to ask yourself and the buyers or the sellers that what circumstances is causing them to sell. But if you were looking into a specific recessive project, buying in the summertime, either they've just laid and people are moving their stock out, or people feel like they're not going to be able to get them up to weight before the season. There's several circumstances that are okay, and there are other circumstances that you should probably avoid.
Right, like the person dumping all of his snakes that are coughing.
I'm getting out, and it's because they have Nido and they're trying to get out before everything collapses. Not great. Be wise if you're going to be buying adults. And if you're buying adults, get an adult male that's a visual.
That's number 6.
Those are pretty cheap. Oh, sorry. Dang it.
Yeah. You can't riff too much because I pretty much cover all of it. In general, those adults that you buy in that are cheap, almost all of them will leave your collection sooner than any babies you buy in because they're already sort of on their sort of downward value curve because someone else is getting rid of them. So don't let those animals stay in your racks too long if you already have more powerful animals to replace them. A lot of people get like hung up on not doing the rotation. So like there's a legacy of those animals just sort of like lingering around. So you'll need to rotate them out within 2 years probably. So don't fall in love. Sorry.
I think I struggle with sentimentality.
Yeah.
I sold a couple of snakes at the show that I literally cried about.
Oh,
afterwards.
Lord. Oh, Lord. Whoa. This is not the right hobby for you. You need to go sell puppies or something. Holy fucking balls.
If I bred puppies, I would end up with 5,000 puppies.
Oh, my God.
I would not sell them.
Hot take. Jana's not cut out for this hobby. Oh, my God.
Hey, hot take. I did awesome at the show.
I know.
There was a few that they were like early on purchases. So they were like some of my first snakes. And I had to let them go for business reasons. But I was still, attached.
Maybe you'll get meaner soon or something.
I don't want to get meaner necessarily. But
then you're in the wrong hobby. Or
you don't have to be a cutthroat to be in this hobby.
No, I'm not telling you to be a cutthroat. I don't think you should have like a sentimental attachment to each ball python. If you want to love your male ball pythons, you need to go get a chondro. Because nobody's fucking rotating out the sickness. He's going to be in Ian's collection forever and ever and ever. And he's never going to get rotated out. He's his own legacy of like the best animal that's ever lived. There's no like attrition rate for males.
I disagree. That it's okay because I still put them up for sale, which was the correct business thing to do.
Okay, you did put it up for sale.
I sold it. It's not like when the person was like, I want to buy it. I was like, never mind, it's $12,000. I sold them, but it was difficult. After the fact, I had a little moment of mourning and then I moved on. But I brought them to the show. I sold them for what I should have sold them for. And I am bringing in new things. I think it's okay to not be a heartless jerk. I can do this.
Listen.
And maintain some of my lovability and fluffiness.
All right.
I may get totally beaten down and shredded and I may become bitter and hard. But at this point, I'm not. And I did the correct business choices, and I can see the business choices. And
do you think this is going to like weigh on you in like 5 years where you're like, I don't want to do this hobby because it's not a hobby that is nice to me emotionally?
No. I just...
Ball python specifically, you might still be in snakes, but ball python specifically is the most like brutal of all of them.
I don't feel brutalized.
You went home and cried. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
But it wasn't like a cry forever and feel like crap forever or emotionally scarring. It was just like, oh, they're gone. All right, let's clean out their spot and put something cool in it.
Okay. Okay. I mean, the feeling you have is fine. I think the degree of response is what I was reacting to because it seems like I've never heard anyone cry because they sold a snake that they kind of liked.
Really?
No.
Maybe I'm a big crybaby.
That's why I'm like, maybe you should breed dogs. Like,
no,
that would be an appropriate response to like selling a dog. It literally loves you, and you've let it go. Snake doesn't give a shit about you, by the way.
No,
none
they
of
didn't
them
care at all. But I'm gonna miss those little turds, and there was a couple that I really liked, and it was hard to sell them, but I wasn't going to not sell them. And the crying could have been like post show, I haven't slept in a week and I just
Okay.
worked 2 12-hour days. And didn't like go home and like sob hysterically into my pillow. I like teared up. Is it your turn?
I don't know. Okay. I already said this and I'll say it again. In general, males should be homozygous for recessive. Some recessive genes are cheap enough now that you can go buy a homozygous recessive male for $200, an adult.
For those of you in the back, she means visual recessive males.
We need to know what homozygous means.
If you're investing at this level, you should know. But for those of you who don't, she's talking about visually recessive males.
Right. There are ways that this is not true. High value ink doms, which we've already talked about, like Wookiee or Stranger or Acid. You could go buy $1,000 just plain acid male, and it would not be that much of a waste of everyone's time to breed that to some codom females just to make some more mixes and some recessive females to make the acid het the recessive, because it's an expensive enough codom. But that should not be like your terminal goal. Your goal would be to make an acid clown eventually, or an acid pied or whatever, as soon as possible, basically.
Right. So I bought out a collection, and there was a sugar het clown male, and he was already breeding to a visual clown female, and I want to be in the sugar calico clown sphere, so I'm continuing that breeding, and as soon as she lays, that male's going to get sold. It's not something I would have normally bought a het male for, but I'm using it because it's there, and I'm going to keep the babies, if that makes sense.
Right, which goes into point B.
There are exceptions to the rules, but
like,
don't usually do that.
Yeah, buying a male codom het recessive, if the codoms are new to your collection, like sugar, I don't think sugar's new, but sugar's new to you in clowns, like you wanted to get it as soon as possible.
Correct.
Or if it's so expensive you couldn't even buy the visual anyway, like if you don't have $4,000 for a Cypress clown and you want to go buy a Cypress het clown male, quickly make a visual male, that's just a consideration you have to make based on budget and time, and can you get a disease tested
like I have a
one?
bongo het growing up for next year. Right. But he's not going to get 10 females.
No. Don't use your het whatever on a megaton of them, because then you're making a bunch of show fodder on accident. 66%ers, which ball python hets almost don't matter anyway. 66 don't matter even more. So then, like, you can swing for the fences on your 1 and 4 on an 8 egg clutch, but you'll miss a lot. But you can try to swing sometimes. Just don't swing all the time. This is like why this whole conversation came up. Someone was like, should I buy more genes in a het clown male or a visual clown male? I'm like, it depends. It totally depends. If you need those genes in your collection and this is the easiest way for you to get them, he'll bring them in real fast. But general,
don't give him to all your females.
Yeah, but in general, a visual male is better. But both of them are okay. Just depends on the situation. Next one.
Which is related to this rule, males should always be more powerful than females. There is no reason to run a DG clown female to a bumblebee male.
Mm-hmm. I'm really nagging on Spider.
She has literally said these words to me. Mm-hmm. I have a clown pie female growing up in my rack. She's a 2020, probably like 800 grams. And I wanted to breed it to a Mojave leopard double het. And I got probably a 3-hour lecture about how that's the stupidest thing ever.
It feels bad, man. It feels bad.
I trust you, but I still don't understand completely. He's going to go to the DG that's hopefully het cryptic, which is going to be proved out before they breed. But I'm confused as to why it would be bad to hit a Mojave leopard.
Because those two incomplete dominants are not expensive or interesting, right? If he was a blackhead Mojave double het clown pied, I would say yes. Then he is powerful enough to match her power.
But have you seen how much a Mojave leopard clown pied goes for?
It doesn't matter. He's not as strong as she is. She is a way better female than he is. It doesn't matter if their babies are expensive. You know how expensive a bumblebee double het DG clown is?
No, 1,200.
Right. But you still wouldn't breed your DG clown female to a bumblebee male. It's a waste of the female. She only has so many eggs. You only have so many ovulations. You only have so many females with bins.
I hear you. I trust you. And I'm not making that pairing. And that male is for sale. I can't understand what you're saying. I don't know why. I don't get it. I don't get how.
I think you see the price tag and you're like,
they make $8,000 babies.
But she would make $40,000 babies with a better male. That's what I'm saying.
But I have one in my rack. I don't have a $40,000 male.
No, you don't need a $40,000. You just need a better male. But she could make $40,000 babies with a marginally better male, a $1,000 more male. A different male you already own would make better babies.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. There's no.
We'll have to talk about this more off.
Yeah,
because I want to understand. I believe you. I trust you, and I'm listening to you. But
if you were super hyped about those incomplete dominants, that's why I said blackhead maybe, because that's a very expensive pied and a very expensive clown, and the clown pied would probably be $25,000, $40,000. I don't know, like an insane amount of money.
Okay.
But the two genes that are in him are not strong enough.
That's a terrible idea.
I know, you got me mad. Not strong enough and are both high white. And then it's going to not worth it for that female. You have other ones that are better. I mean, one clown pie drops to 2K. Go ahead, do whatever you want.
Okay, so if it was reversed, if it was a...
Yes, fine.
It would be fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Because he can go on and breed like 20 more. Yeah. But she's only a couple little foggles every year. What are you going to do with them? The best choice you can.
Okay. I hear you. I'm listening to you. Yeah. I'm trying to comprehend what you're saying as well.
Right.
I'm trying to absorb that so that I can use it elsewhere, not just blind robot, follow every instruction you give me.
Okay. You don't also have to agree. You can be like, fuck Jessica, she's dumb. But just trust me. Go look at all the leopard mojo pieds. They're all super high white. It's really lame. You need another expensive gene in the double het male to make it worth it. Blackhead.
Even
Cypress. Well, Enchi's not expensive, but it would make it
look
good.
But it would have looked better. Yeah.
Whatever. There's a lot of choices there. Or just a gene, maybe even leopard Mojave clown het pied. Because then you're hitting more of the numbers. But there's no reason to do a double het with those ink doms, in my opinion. I guess we should move on. That's more.
Yeah.
If you wanted to breed him to like a bunch of dumb crap just to make fodder pos hets because you wanted to sell them at a show, which is a waste of time also, but maybe. But I don't even think you need them. That's why you're selling them. Good job.
He just didn't sell at the show. That's
okay.
But
yeah.
He's going to be for sale in January. Or I have a friend that has a double het girl, so I might just loan him out that way or give 4 babies.
Yes. Like that is a better pairing. Him to another double het with no ink doms because he's stronger than his female.
Okay. I might do that.
You do number 8, which we've already talked about.
Do you want to talk about how disease testing can inhibit getting the right male? Before we go to 8?
Yeah, I guess. So like in general, even if all of those rules apply, like you want it to be a recessive, and you want it to be this, and you want it to be that, fuck if someone will sell you anything because you're like a hysterical woman on her period all the time, crying about diseases.
I tried to buy multiple dom, incomplete dom, double recessive visual male, and I got so much drama over it. So the one I finally did get, it's a double visual, but no incomplete dominance, but at least I get to test it.
Right. So like number 1 rule is always the rule that trumps. It has to be disease-free to be an investment. So none of this counts for anything if it's going to poison all 8 of your females, and half of them roll and half of them are typhoid Marys forever after that. So like your mileage will vary. I've tried to buy a $7,000 clown, a single animal. and I was going to give him cash. No payment plan.
Yep.
He was willing to test it, but was not willing to let me test it on intake. And I'm like, that's not how the science works. The best time to test is on intake because we have stress. I swear to God, I'm not going to do anything to it.
I also swear that I don't trust your test.
Yeah, he didn't videotape it or do anything. And I'm like, I'm not going to get it here and have it be positive.
Yep.
For $7,000. And so that deal falls apart. So my blackhead visual clown combo male falls apart. So then
that kills my soul.
Yeah, and I bought what I was trying to buy it in January, so it would have been breeding now. January of 2021.
Don't tell me that. That makes me so sad.
So I got like really salty, bought a bunch of corns, and then I came back and I was like, I still want to be in the project. I just like need to find one of the people I've already bought from that will test or communicate with me. And I ended up buying a blackhead yellow belly pos het clown that I think will prove. I see the markers. Obviously, much less money, much less powerful.
Boy or girl?
Boy. So he's breeding. He's taking the slot that would be in because I want blackhead clown stuff to work on. But obviously,
I've forgotten you have that. That's exciting. I would like a baby if you get 10 million babies.
Yeah, he's doing great. This is what we got to do around here because everything sucks. And then I don't know right now if I would buy a blackhead clown anymore. I'd probably buy a different Kodam visual clown for the next year because I have the Calico clown now.
I know, I'm so jealous. Dang it.
It's all right.
Mine should be birthing. So are we on 8?
Yes.
Is it your turn?
It's your turn. This is for you anyway.
It takes a long time to hit double and triples, etc. recessive, so volume of animals is important. If you cannot afford 4 female double het clown pieds with different incomplete dominance and a visual male, then that's not the project for you. Buying 1-to-1 with no incomplete dominance is not a project. That was for me. 1 rack of 40 per double recessive project is what you need. Minimum. I hear you. Minimum.
Yeah. I almost think sometimes people should just work clown or something instead of like struggling to work a double recessive well or a triple recessive well or work pied. A 5 gene pied is worth almost the same as a double recessive. Then you can go buy a double recessive when you sell that 5 gene pied extra you don't need and then cross it into all of your awesome pieds. Then they'll all be het clown right away. I think there's a rule later on about this, but it's hard and expensive to work double projects. So don't feel like you're behind the ball if you're not wasting all your money on like poorly performing in like 10 different double recessive projects, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm feeling that way a little bit right now, which is frustrating.
Number 9. This is related. I just sort of talked about it. When buying multi-recessive projects, don't fail to buy the incomplete dominants if you can get them. Because there are people with collections where they're doing DG clown or clown pied and all of the codoms are pastel and pastel and pastel. They have double het girls or 66% this, but they're all either plain or pastel or maybe like pinstripe or something. Every single animal. And you're like, I don't know if that's the right way to do this. Like, if you hit the double 100 years from now, you'll still need to breed it back to a cool gene anyway, and then breed it back again. So that's another generation anyway. So if you can buy in the codoms or breed them in, like buy the double visual male and breed it into all kinds of codom combo females, your collection will be better than if all you did was struggle to buy a clown het DG and then a DG het clown. And then a double het female. No codoms in any of them. You'll still be like struggling to hit them eventually anyway.
I struggle with this a little bit because the codoms I want triples the price because I want the good ones. I want like yellow belly or like that. And so your double het clown pie is like $200, but the one I want is $3,000. There's
a reason why it's the better one. It's because it's the one with the more long-term viability and use. And it's okay to get some of the ones to save money that don't have any incomplete dominance in them. But what are you going to do when you get there and you forgot to buy anything interesting in it and you're just making plain clown pies? That's why Billy the other day was like, I'm making clown pies late, but they have 3 incomplete dominants in them.
Right.
And he was like trying to explain that, and people were like, that is much more impressive than making clown pies. Because it took a lot more money on both sides and a lot more luck to hit it in the animals. Because it's almost like hitting another recessive and a half in the same animal. It's not a rule. I'm just saying, like, don't forget about it. And that's why maybe keeping some of your adult clown, GHI clown het females to breed your Kiki to is a faster way to get GHI back in.
Right.
Than just being like, oh, I can't afford anything. I only buy double recessives, but I'm never buying anything unless it's double recessive. But I also can't afford to buy any other incomplete dominants in the same animal. So I guess I'm just making pastel everything for the rest of my life.
Oh, please kill me now.
Yeah. There's somewhat famous YouTubers and stuff that to me have like boring ass collections of just double heads.
Pastel.
Double heads. Or even visual clown pies, but still boring. The power's there, but there's no interest because people want the interesting other genes in it. In my opinion, as usual.
Are we at 10?
Yep. I already did this one, but...
Don't buy too many recessive projects to begin with. Focus is hard. Focus is important. Focus is where people falter.
Mm-hmm. And usually they'll like steer off wildly before they've even bred the project they already bought into.
Yep. And then you'll pick something else. It's just like you have to be flexible, but you also have to have some direction that you're going and stick with it.
Otherwise, you won't really know what animals to buy. Like, that's why I tell people pick a target animal, even if you don't ever make that one. But at least you'll be buying complementary animals to that target. So that target can shift, but it'll at least be related. Which is number 11. Try to buy complementary projects. So if you want to do Clown Pied, Ghost Pied, and DG Pied, what do they all have in common? Pied. So you can go, Ghost Pied is the cheapest one of there. So you could buy like the female double recessives or whatever. You can combine them together in such a way that it actually is like intuitive and it makes sense. And it means that you're not like doubling back to try to remake from scratch another double het. You can just make visual pieds double het for both and then rebreed from there. Part of that is limiting conflicting projects. So multiple incompatible lines of albino. So don't run lavender and candy. Or
just don't do it, people. So many people are doing it.
And it's fine if you have a giant ass fucking warehouse, but if you're even a normal person, it's sort of a waste of your time. Pick one if that's what you like. Make that your project. Obviously, multiple lines of xanthic. Most people are smart enough not to do this. Not always, though. And like, don't accidentally or on purpose make bad double het combos. Tri-stripides look like nothing. G-stripides look like nothing. G-stripides may have problems. We don't know. Sort of a rumor. And obviously, like, I have bellpides on here, but it gets into it further. Like, number 12 is buy just animals that don't conflict with each other in their genes. So don't make 8 balls if you don't want to make 8 balls. Don't make bellpides because their eyeballs are small and it's ugly. Don't breed spider complex together. So you need to pick in your males and females like appropriate pairings to not be able to pair them. Like when you pick your male and you pick your females, they need to actually complement each other and not have sort of clashing gene combos. I would avoid bad hets. Like I've seen people buy a female, but like in spite of being het caramel, like she's really big or she has certain incomplete dominance, but she's het caramel. So they're just going to ignore that and wink.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. I think there was a anecdotal, who is the guy that Olympic Reptiles? He had it in one of his females, and
no, it was in his clown. He made clown hets. Then he kept the hets for together. 3 years, and he bred the dad back to the babies, and they were caramel in there, and they were all kinked. And
yeah, sad story.
Yeah,
and a lot of wasted time and energy. Ugh. Don't do it.
Right. Don't buy any caramel and don't buy boss het caramel and don't buy 100% het and just sort of avoid it. probably just shouldn't even have caramel anymore.
Yeah, I had a caramel female in the the collection I bought, and that's not going to be a breeder.
Not around here. And I know some caramel lines supposedly are fine, but we don't have to use it. We have 40 other. We have Monarch and Ultramel, which are perfectly normal at every stage of their life. So let's just do that instead.
Number 13. Okay, try to develop a brand or a theme in projects you collect. Dark side versus light side, or yellow belly complex, or a heavy emphasis on just one recessive like JD does with Axanthic. That doesn't mean that all your pairings have to be the same. There's just something definable about your collection.
Hardwire exotics. What do you think of? Go. Bad example.
The best one was JD. You already said it was Axanthic.
All right, Lindsay Noble. What do you think of? Go.
I don't know who that is.
Fuck.
Hardwired. I watched them on YouTube and I couldn't answer your question. What was the answer?
Desert Ghost and Blackhead.
Oh, Blackhead.
He's somewhat famous for like making super blackheads and long time ago before they were popular and keeping them and promoting them. And he also had like a lot of Desert Ghost very early pre-explosion. So he's like positioned
ahead
now in like a very good way. Even
lots of codoms and stuff in his projects.
And Lindsay Noble is Ghost in Blackhead. I sort of follow Blackhead people, I guess. But
you must, because I don't follow really either of those people. I mean, I do watch some of their YouTubes.
Like Aesthetic Selection Reptiles, he's sort of famous for promoting non-yellow belly gravel or asphalt yellow belly complex. Like he's trying to like bring back Puma clowns and Spark and different things.
Oh, that's fun.
So like, it doesn't matter what you pick, people. It doesn't have to be Blackhead. It's just something I'm interested in. But you could pick either a gene or like a category of genes or a recessive or a look.
I like G-Stripe. I even put it in my logo. And everybody's like, oh, G-Stripe's lame. And I just happened to catch the curve of, holy crap, they added it to clown. Now let's all get G-Stripe. So I got in right before that happened, I feel like. So I had a bunch of G-Stripe in my collection. And now they're like $2,000 for a G-Stripe female, which is insane.
G-Stripe
breeder
combo female.
Right, breeder combo girl.
Yeah, I mean, G-Stripe is still
for like
pretty cheap.
5
let's be honest.
A baby you can get for $200.
Right. But people are trying to make Kikis with the clowns they already have. Kiki double heads. So they want adult females.
Correct.
So, like, it doesn't matter how you want to do it. But the reason why you would want to theme yourself is, A, so you can be, like, identifiable on Instagram as a particular brand. And B, it would keep your projects focused. If you'd want to focus on a particular set of recessives, well, then also you should then be double down and focusing on, like, a particular kind of class of incomplete dominance, too. Because there's a lot now. So you could, like, waste your whole life chasing incomplete dominance to add to your recessives.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just were like, okay, I'm going to be Kiki with dark stuff and Highway with dark stuff. That is 2 themes right there. Or Super Gravel dark stuff. That'd be fine. Forever.
Did you see the Super Gravel clown?
Yeah, it's better.
Did I send that to you?
It's better than the Raven.
It's so nice. It was so nice. I like it a lot.
Number 14. Breed animals because you want some part of the clutch, not just because you want to sell them. Making pairings that are supposed to produce show fodder is sort of a defeatist plan. It's not planning for the future. It's planning for this summer. You should always want to keep something from a pairing. So any show fodder or pet quality stuff should be a byproduct of something you really want to happen, not the purpose of why you paired them. If you don't want to keep anything from your clutch, the clutch was not the pairing was not made correctly.
It's a waste of your time and energy and your snake's time and energy.
Exactly.
Trust me, I did that for almost a whole season and it sucked.
Right. That's why, like, if you have an idea of what you want as early as possible, do as close as you can get to that given your budgetary restraints. Because then every pairing could make an animal you really want. Even if you don't have a ton of money. Clown. You want to make a black pastel, super GHI, mahogany clown. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. Go get a black pastel, breed a clown to it. If you get a female black pastel clown, she's great for you. That's step one. Keep that female. Those 2 adults don't cost that much money, but they're still have all the long-term potential you might want. Number 15, Jana. Last one.
Upgrade strategy rules all animal and collections. Your males should probably be replaced every year, if not every 2 years, or become the backup to their son, and then so on and so forth. So they could be used as a backup male once their better son has proved himself. Then that male can move on, and it just keeps repeating that cycle of better males. YouTubers who have the same collection 5 years later and have the exact same no-gene male clown are literally shitting their money down the drain.
That was a little personal. I don't know when I wrote this. There's literally no reason to breed a clown male to make hets and then not buy literally any other clown male by the next year. If you're a person right now listening, you're like, I want a recessive male, I like clown, go buy a clown male. But a fire clown is $500, a vanilla clown is $500, an inchy clown is $500. There's a bunch of genes. At
least one code on. But if you have a price limit, save a little bit longer and get 1 or 2 genes in that clown.
Or sell all those babies from the first year and go buy a stronger clown male.
The next year.
Yeah, it's not that much of a price difference. There's no reason to keep this, I'm going to say it, Olympus Reptiles, he shouldn't have been breeding the same male to even find out that they were het caramel to the daughters 3 years later.
They should have had a new male.
Yeah, he should have had a new male. How did you even find that out? There should have been any other male before then. That boggled my mind. It was just a normal clown male.
Yeah, I have a really high gene G-stripe male, and next year he'll probably just be backup. And I have another with different gene G-stripe male that I'm growing up that will breed next year in his place. And hopefully they'll produce daughters that I can hold back that will be vastly different from each other for my Kiki projects.
Right. And even if the male is still quite valuable, you've probably already held back enough of his flavor that you need a different male to go over those females anyway. Correct. So that's true. He might not be obsolete as a breeder. He's just obsolete as a breeder for you.
For my collection.
Yeah.
So, and he'll need to move on to somebody else's collection. Even the best producing female will one day not need to be in your collection.
Even the very best.
What is YMMV?
Your mileage may vary.
Oh, with how long the female should stay. There are rumors of homozygous recessive females of certain morphs being worse breeders than others. I don't know if that's true, but keep the daughters from the females that are the best producers. That's really good advice, because you have a couple that are really good producers and want to go early in boys, right?
Mm-hmm. I have it both ways. I have mothers that make sons that produce sperm plugs really early, and I have mothers that produce daughters that develop follicles really early. They're actually not the same, but
what if you have a multi-gene female that drops 15 eggs, has no recessives? Would you keep that girl around to make quantity if you have double visual males to throw to her?
It literally just depends on how much space you have left. There is always a time where every good female who's great does not need to be there anymore, probably, if you're on the morph treadmill.
Okay. That's fair.
But yeah, any female can be elevated with a very powerful male. That is true. But in your collection with your bin slots, there will always come a time for a female, no matter how powerful she was once or how many eggs she does lay. She doesn't need to be there for you, but you can be fine with someone else. What I like about old females is they breed reliably. That's the best part. So if you need a certain income and you're, like we were talking about with Justin, where a third of his adult females don't go because they're young or whatever. you would need enough volume that you know at least 2/3 will go that are old enough for sure to pay all your bills or whatever.
That makes sense. So he has double breeding than what he expects to produce. These
Right,
numbers
and Billy's
are making me
Billy's
freak out.
never released his percentage either that I'm aware of.
It's got to be similar.
Right, but I think he said he has 1,500 females, 250 males, something like that.
But he's only on like clutch 100 and something.
Maybe I'm mixing up babies. 750. He has a large number of females, way more than Justin. Like 750, 1,000, like an insane number of females.
I need to go look on his thing later.
Call in. Operators are standing by. How many adult females has Billy ever said that he owns? We'll check back in with our report. But I bet his adult female breed rate is 50%. If he's always
He's on clutch 150 right now. So that's definitely not, and it's the end of the year. He did move this year.
Well, he moved last year. Oh yeah, I guess it's sort of this year too.
But I mean that effect that he's doing
Right.
less clutches this year than he has on the past 5 years.
Well, let's just make
This will be his lowest clutch year.
I'm confident he has more females than Justin because he's said a number that was large. That's why I think it's a huge number. Let's say he has 750 females. If he's only has 150 clutches and he moved, but he's still profitable enough, it's fine, right? Whatever. But maybe you need at least double the number of clutches you want if you're on a very fast turnaround type market with very nice females.
Yeah, I mean, so for the amount of clutches that I want to do, maybe having more females isn't terrible. So I think that the increased number of inventory that I have, I don't think I'm going to have higher production.
Right, but you'll still need a bigger facility or whatever, I guess is my
For
point.
sure. I'll absolutely need a bigger facility. But my fear is that I didn't want to do, I don't want to do 200 clutches a year. But if these numbers are true, then I won't have to worry about that, if that makes sense.
Right.
So if I'm breeding, 100 females that are proven are not 2 to 3 year old virgins, and then I'm breeding, 50 to 75 in that age range, I'm not going to produce 150 clutches. I'm probably going to produce 100 clutches.
Right. I guess my question is, as always, is around here 150 clutches actually enough money to live?
I think it depends on how your lifestyle and what your
Right. I mean,
bills
sure,
look like.
as always.
As always.
Yeah.
But
Exotics by Nature lived in a fucking shack in Louisiana somewhere, and his facility was under like a barn underneath of him, and he lived in an apartment on top. And because the mortgage on the whole property was $600 or something crazy, he could actually get by with his 400 or 500 females, and that was fine. I have my doubts about, this fucking Pacific Northwest lifestyle, maybe is what I'm saying.
I agree.
Okay, that's all. No, I don't know. I don't know how to be a ball python breeder. I'm clearly not successful at it. These are the rules that I've compiled that have been told to me that make the most sense to me.
It sounds really daunting when you compile them like that. Then I feel like I'm doing it wrong.
I don't think you're doing it wrong. I just think
I feel like I'm doing it like everybody else who isn't necessarily successful at it.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Or you're
but
doing
my collection looks nothing like it did a year ago. So at least I'm
thank
doing
God
that right.
for that.
Thank God for that. None
no
of my
more
males.
fireflies.
Oh God, if I see another firefly, I might actually just quit the hobby.
No, you're doing great. I think we should be thankful for where we are.
I am thankful for where I am.
Okay,
I'm
we're
thankful
doing
for where I've
great.
come from.
We're doing really good.
I feel like I've come a freaking hell of a long way in 18 months.
Right. But I think people will look at my collection and be like, you're dumb. And I agree in a lot of ways. but I'm not sure. It's either going to take years or money. So either I have to, sell a kidney, do whatever it
I said
takes.
sell your kid.
Or that. I don't know if he's worth that much, I'm going to be honest.
You
Or
only have one. You can't sell your kid.
or just spend the
I've got
time
spares.
spend the time grinding, reinvest 100% of everything you earn every year, which means I still don't get a paycheck for a long time. Like Billy didn't take money out of Mutation Creation for a long time, like 10 years.
Yeah, but he's pulling big dollars now.
Right. But that's the whole point.
Big dollars.
Is like
driving a Ferrari.
Sean Bradley used to complain. He's like, the only reason Justin's on top is because I had to pay people's bills when Justin was still like just paying back his uncle. Like he would complain about that on old bullshit. You should listen to it. It's funny. And he's like, if you have to pay bills because you're the sole breadwinner, you will invariably have to sell your holdbacks. And that's not how you win in this game. You keep your best 10%. You sell the bottom 90%.
Right.
But if your bills come first too soon in that process, you will lose. So, Chris, you got to keep going to work, buddy.
I'm so lucky. I'm not the breadwinner. I don't have to worry about paying any bills. From this point forward, I'm supposed to be paying my own reinvestment, which I think is fair and a good business plan. Like my initial investment starting January 1st, there will be no more outside family investment. It will all have to come from the business itself. But I feel very
I know
confident.
that's what your husband agreed to, but what if that wasn't enough to be where you want to be in 2 years or something?
Then we'd have to rediscuss it. I mean, we just had a big rediscussion and he just dropped another 30K into the business.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not that it's not a hard no. It's just something we'd have to decide together. Just the general rule of thought is that I'm going to have to provide for what I need from this point forward.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that in general. Like
in general, yeah.
Right. Because you have to become sort of solvent, otherwise the IRS will come get you.
Yeah, right.
Because then
sure.
you're a hobby and you're whatever. So you at least need to like buy,
burning up all the money.
Right. But
oh, please
I've been doing this
in front of my husband.
Like probably longer and maybe in making even less money. So like, when am I required to like be doing better next year? Like
I thought you said next year you had to do some kind of profit or Uncle Sam.
Well, that's what I mean. But like, when am I required to like take a wage? Like, when is it no longer a waste of everyone's time? Because I do a lot of basically unpaid labor right now.
Oh, labor is unpaid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
not even
Alex will be in school. I could hypothetically go back to work, fund the business through that, sort of reduce the number of animals, but have like a tighter collection, and then re-expand it later. This is just me talking. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, my kid could. There was advertisement for a job, and I was like, it's a receptionist, and I was a certified medical assistant, so I have much experience in reception duties, even though it's not in the medical field. It's only minimum wage, which is $15 an hour, but it's part-time, and I'm like, I could go get that job, and I could invest that money in myself.
Right. Or you could go back to nursing school first, and then ramp up like the number of animals. Keep the number of animals the same as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Go to nursing school whenever. This is all pretty personal. I don't know if we want to talk about this, but like to the people at home, there's always like a continuum of when you go full time, how much money it takes to have a collection that's strong enough to both pay your bills and reinvest in itself and sort of continue.
So the dream is to go full time. My husband wants to be able to retire at 20 years, even though he can't collect like if he was in the military, but he does work for the government. So he's fully vested, and after 20 years, he could retire, but we wouldn't be bringing home an income. So perfect plan would be that I would go to nursing school, and you can work like 2 to 5 days a month, and you
Mm-hmm.
get all your medical benefits plus a consistent yearly income.
Right.
And then the rest of the time I would be working with our snake breeding business, and my husband would pick up the slack as Mr. Mom and shit cleaner too.
So you do
So
sort
that's
of need to go to nursing school for this plan.
sometime in that process I do need to.
Right.
That was the plan for like medical and then like a consistent paycheck, because he won't be able to draw from his retirement until 30 years in.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, medical is tough.
When your husband retires from the military, does he have medical for life for
Yes.
his
Well,
family?
he can get into the Jkr retirement version, which
Okay.
would apply to the family. So like we are also sort of subsidized in that way. So if someone is coming into this without like an outside medical plan, that can really suck the life right out of any small business. It's trying to
Oh, I
cover.
could suck it. There goes your paycheck.
Yeah. Justin, I still love him, but he doesn't pay for healthcare for his employees. What's up
What?
with that, Justin?
Not even his like general manager.
No,
who he was
Chase.
like,
And I was like, oh, Justin.
you can drive a Ferrari
you bought
and
a
you can have a
Oh, it was a
gate
Porsche. But
with
yeah,
Porsche.
it doesn't
gate
matter.
with your logo on it, but you can't pay medical.
Right. He obviously pays. He hasn't told what he pays Chase, but he said he pays him a lot for the region, which is in the middle of nowhere for Georgia. So what does that mean?
That doesn't mean anything.
Right. But I was like,
Necessarily.
you couldn't opt for whatever. I'm complaining a little bit.
For bennies. Yeah. Got to give the bennies.
Right.
That's our main concern is benefits, because he isn't military. So we have great benefits working for the government. He makes great money, but it's not the same as the military. He also doesn't have the same lifestyle as the military. So I'm not saying he deserves that or anything. I'm just saying that it is different. So if he retires at 20 years, it's a different situation than if your husband retires at 20 years.
Right. If my husband, we're sort of in a better situation because we would get partial
Correct.
retirement. So we would have some sort of income every month. So if there's like a dry
Long
spell,
term, it's a better, but you also have to deal with the fact that your husband's gone a lot.
right, and we have to move all the time for no reason.
Yeah, well, I don't have to do that. So
Right.
I'm saying that we don't deserve that benefit, whereas he's paying for it now.
Right. So for the people at home that do not have some sort of whatever medical, your business needs to include provisions to protect you when you go full time.
Correct.
You need to sign up for something.
That's why the nursing degree is something
Part
that's
of it.
always been in our plan.
Then I almost think, I guess my advice is different. You should just keep your collection exactly the same size it is now. Just power it up. And then go to your nursing as soon as possible. And then increase the size. I think that is the right order. Don't increase the size now. Have to sell a bunch off to go to school because you don't have time to take care of it or manage it the way you want.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to keep it small, is because I'm going to have to be able to be doing school probably full time and this part time. But I have a whole nother year before I can do school full time. And instead of doing school weird and part time with a kid that's part time in preschool and COVID and all that crap, I'm waiting and doing this right now. So that is the plan, and that has been the plan. So maybe that's why my plan didn't make sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
But
you
we'll
picked
see.
a triple recessive. That also didn't make sense to me.
Neither
Like
of my
if you were
projects
like,
make
I like
sense to
pie.
you.
Okay. Do pie really good.
I do like pie. I just triple recessives are where the future is. So
and I also
while I'm
I
doing
kind of hate
pie,
that.
I would be doing all of it. I don't know. I guess I need to sit down and just really have a good think about it, because I'm having some doubts.
That you might not be able to run your project in the time you have, and even the space you have, even sort of.
Right.
So you need to hurry up and go to nursing school really quick. Hurry! Sign up now.
No, that's going to take like 4 years, because I got to start with like Math 95 or something.
Oh, fuck. What? Are you doing your BSN?
No, even for an associate's.
That's it, ladies and
That's all we have
gentlemen.
for you
Maybe
today.
you shouldn't
Goodbye.
do ball
Get out.
pythons. Maybe you should do something else.
Don't do ball pythons. Don't do triple recessives. Holy fuck. I gotta go have a think because this is derailed me. And I'll probably be fine. I didn't get any sleep last night like normal, so it's gonna all be fine.
And I think the only thing I want to say, like, you can make a living income without doing triple recessives in huge numbers, but Justin can't be Justin without 1,000 animals, probably, or whatever. So, like, the cutting edge.
Justin, I don't need to be cutting edge, and I don't.
No, but you bought into triple recessive, so you are saying that and doing something different. Okay.
Oh shit! We need to have a big long talk.
Yeah, which one do you want to be?
Like, having a full-on panic attack.
It's fine. I just like don't understand. Like you drunk the pill that the future is doubles, and I'm like, I get it, but it doesn't matter if the future is doubles if we have 50 years of double hitting time. Right now, you need to make a functional business now that makes money now. So what does that look like? I don't know. You have to decide. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at Hare Hollow Farm. I know a lot of you are new, and you're probably disappointed that you're here at the end of the podcast.
Don't worry, they're not still here.
Yeah, no, they've already left. But you can find me on Instagram. Where can they find you, Jana?
They can find me in the bathroom, hyperventilating, doubting my life choices.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something about a glory hole, and then you didn't. And I was like, that's weird.
No. Wow, I need to rethink my projects. I'm having a little self-doubt right now, but when I come out of it, I will be on Instagram, ASM Royal Tails, and you are welcome to message me there.
Yeah, I'll be releasing this. I guess everyone will know this because they're listening to it probably next week. So Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, we recorded this a little bit early, so our current events may be
not
current anymore. But
we'll have an episode the following post-Christmas
week. Or Happy Hanukkah.
Back to normal. I don't know what we'll do. We haven't decided. See you
later.
We'll
do like talking about our own collections and projects now that I need to rethink everything.
Oh, like a looking forward at breeding projects? Sure.
Yeah, let's do that. Something like that. We'll see. It'll be a surprise to us all.
It's too early, like relative to our next recording session, for me to have thought about it.
That's fine.
All right. See you later. Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Happy Hanukkah.